The world ended for me on the day of my father's funeral. I stood beside his casket, a hollow space where my heart used to be, when my stepmother, Vivian, approached. Her face, a mask of cold satisfaction, was a stark contrast to the grieving crowd. "Marcus," she said, her voice a syrupy lie, "we need to talk about your father's will." Vivian had married my dad when I was 12, right after my mother's tragic death in a car accident. For 25 years, she was the closest thing to a mother I had. My older siblings, Cassandra and Theodore, were from my dad's first marriage. They were already grown when I was born, so we never had a chance to forge a deep bond. But I always believed we were a family, that we were in this together. "What about the will?" I asked, a knot of confusion tightening in my gut. Vivian's smile was thin as a razor's edge. "Well, darling, your father left everything to his real children. You'll get a small inheritance, of course." The words sliced through me. Real children. Cassandra, in her designer heels, clicked forward. "Marcus, you have to understand. Dad felt obligated to care for you after your mother died. But blood is blood. Theodore and I built this family business alongside him. You were just what?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "A responsibility," Theodore finished without even looking at me. "Dad did his duty by you. Now that he's gone, it's time you found your own way." I felt like I was drowning, my world crumbling around me. For 25 years I had called these people my family, and they were telling me I didn't belong, that I never had. "You can't be serious," I choked out. "Dad always said I was his son. He never treated me differently." Vivian laughed, a harsh, cold sound. "Oh, Marcus, your father was a good man, but he was sentimental. He felt sorry for you. We all did." Just then, the funeral director cleared his throat, interrupting the scene. "Excuse me, Mr. Marcus, your father left something for you." He handed me an envelope with my name on it in my dad's familiar script. Inside was a small silver key and a note. "Safety Deposit Box 247. First National Bank. For Marcus only. The truth you deserve." I stared at the key, bewildered. My dad had never mentioned a safety deposit box. Vivian's face went pale. "What is that?" "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I'm going to find out." "Whatever it is," Cassandra cut in quickly, "it's part of the estate. You can't just—" "Actually," the funeral director interrupted politely, "according to the bank records, this box was opened in Mr. Marcus's name specifically. It's legally his property." I'd never seen three people look so utterly terrified in my life. That night, sleep was impossible. I turned the key over and over in my hands, wondering what secret my father had kept. The next morning, with my hands shaking, I drove to the bank. Mrs. Chen, the manager, led me to the vault. "Your father was very specific about this box," she said. "He set it up 5 years ago, paid in advance, and left strict instructions that only you could access it." Together we turned our keys, and the lock clicked open. Inside was a thick manila folder and another note from my dad. "Marcus, I should have told you this while I was alive, but I was a coward. I hope you can forgive me. The truth is in these papers. You are my son in every way that matters, but you deserve to know who you really are. Love, Dad." With trembling hands, I opened the folder. The first document was a birth certificate for a baby named Marcus Clayton, born on my exact birthday. The parents were strangers to me. Below it was a death certificate for the same baby, dated just 3 days later. A wave of nausea washed over me. What was this? The next document was a hospital record from 37 years ago. It detailed how a young nurse, Patricia Morgan, my mother, was working in the NICU when baby Marcus Clayton died. His grief-stricken parents had abandoned the hospital. But there was another baby in that NICU, born on the same day, at the same time, to a teenager who had given him up for adoption. The adoption had fallen through, leaving the baby without a family. My mother, the nurse, made a choice that changed everything. She switched the babies, she took the living child, me, and gave me the dead baby's identity. She and my father, a doctor at the same hospital, falsified the records. They made it look like Marcus Clayton had survived, and the unnamed baby had died. I was adopted, but not legally. I was stolen. My entire identity was a lie built on a dead child's name. But there was more. The next document was a DNA test dated just 6 months ago. My dad had taken it in secret. The results confirmed I was not his biological son. I was someone else's. Someone whose name made my blood run cold. Theodore Blackwood, S.R., Vivian's first husband. The man who had built the family's construction business and its fortune. According to the DNA results and the documents beneath them, I was not just some random adopted child. I was Theodore Blackwood Sr.'s son, which meant I was Theodore Jr.'s half-brother, and Cassandra's stepbrother by blood, not just by marriage. One more document made everything even more twisted. It was Theodore Sr.'s original will, dated before his death. In it, he left everything to any biological children, known or unknown, discovered through legal DNA testing. Vivian had hidden this will. She had probated a fake one that left the fortune to her and her stepchildren. The original will, however, changed everything. I wasn't just family. I was the rightful heir to the Blackwood fortune. And they knew. The final document was a letter from a private investigator addressed to my father, dated 2 years ago. It confirmed that Vivienne had hired him to track down Theodore Sr.'s biological children after learning about the original will. She had found out about me and had been planning for years to make sure I never discovered the truth. My dad's last note was attached. Marcus, Vivian has been slowly poisoning me. Not enough to kill me quickly, but enough to make me sick. She wanted me to die before you could learn the truth. I've been pretending to be sicker than I am, gathering evidence. She thinks she has won, but now you have everything you need. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to tell you while I could still protect you. The lawyer's contact information is on the back. Trust him. Trust yourself. You belong more than any of them ever will. I sat in that bank vault for what felt like an eternity, staring at the documents. My whole life had been a lie, but not in the way they'd tried to convince me. I wasn't the outsider who didn't belong. I was the one who belonged most of all. When I finally left the bank, I drove straight to the family house, my house, as it turned out. Vivian was in the garden, pruning roses as if she didn't have a care in the world. Marcus, she said, feigning surprise. What are you doing here? I thought we made it clear. We need to talk, I said quietly. All of us. Call Cassandra and Theodore. Something in my voice must have frightened her, because she actually did it. 20 minutes later, we were all sitting in my dad's study, the same room where they had told me I didn't belong. I opened the safe deposit box, I said simply. Vivian's face went white. Theodore started to stand, but I held up my hand. Sit down, brother. The word hung in the air like a bomb. I know everything, I continued. I know about the switched identities. I know about Theodore Sr.'s real will. I know about the poisoning. And I know about the private investigator you hired, Vivian. Cassandra stared, confused. What are you talking about? I pulled out the DNA test results and slid them across the desk. I'm talking about the fact that I'm Theodore Sr.'s biological son, which makes me the rightful heir to everything you've been enjoying for the past 20 years. The silence was deafening. Theodore Jr. finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. That's impossible. Is it? I asked. Or did you all just work really hard to make sure I'd never find out? Vivian stood up, her composure finally cracking. You can't prove any of this. Even if it's true, it's been too long. The statute of limitations. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I already called the lawyer Dad recommended. Turns out there's no statute of limitations on fraud involving a will, and murder never expires either. I watched them realize their perfect little plan had fallen apart. You told me I didn't belong, I said, standing up. You made me feel like an unwanted burden for 3 months. But the truth is, this house, this business, this entire fortune, it's mine. Legally, it's all mine. I walked toward the door, then turned back. The lawyer will be in touch about transferring the assets. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. As I reached for the door handle, Vivian's voice stopped me. Marcus, wait. We can work something out. We're family. I looked back at her. This woman who had slowly poisoned the only father I had ever known, who had stolen my inheritance, who had made me feel worthless for months. You're right, I said softly. We are family. And that's exactly why this hurts so much. I left them in that study, a portrait of their own failure. They had made me feel like an outsider, a burden, but the truth was, they were the ones who never belonged. The house is mine now. The business is mine. The fortune is mine. But what I learned from opening that safe deposit box is more valuable than any inheritance. Sometimes, the people who make you feel like you don't belong are the ones who never belonged in the first place. And sometimes, the truth really will set you free.